Trump reported issues menacing new threat after Iran targets U.S. forces in thwarted missile attack. President Donald Trump vowed to beat the fucking shit out of Iran after Tehran launched an attack on American forces in the Middle East. Fox News reported Wednesday. They're going to get a beating, Trump said, according to Fox's chief foreign correspondent Trey Yance. The comments follow what the U.S. described as a surprise attack, which prompted Saudi Arabia and the United States to retaliate against a Tehran-backed military in Iraq and shattered a period of relative calm, raising the risk of a formal escalation of the conflict. Iran had suspended its attacks amid a renewed push to reach a deal with the U.S., but warned earlier this week that it would now allow Washington to dictate the time in the war and peace while maintaining that the Strait of Hormuz was closed. The sudden return of hostilities shattered the relative calm that had descended on Iran for several days after the U.S. paused daily strikes on the Islamic Republic in order to make room for peace. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it had launched strikes on the U.S. Air Base and Military Central Command Center in Jordan. State-run NOR news agency reported early Wednesday, local time. Its Navy also struck 3 oil tankers that it said were in violation of its blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, according to the state-run news agency IRNA. In the post on X, U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, said it had thwarted an attempted surprise attack on forces based in the Middle East around 5:45 p.m. Tuesday. All Iranian missiles were successfully intercepted, it said, but troops remained vigilant and at a high state of readiness. Just hours later, CENTCOM said it had launched precision strikes in Iraq alongside the Saudi armed forces against Iran-aligned terrorists that it said the IRGC had directed to attack U.S. forces and Saudi energy infrastructure. CENTCOM did not name the militants it had targeted, but the Popular Mobilization Forces, a grouping of dozens of mainly Shia pro-Iranian armed factions, said in a post on X that a number of its headquarters in Iraq had been attacked and several members killed. The attack marked a highly dangerous escalation in the conflict as well as a violation of Iraq's sovereignty, it said. U.S. and Saudi fighters struck multiple logistics and weapons sites across eastern Iraq in a strong response to over 30 IRGC directed area drone attacks in the last 72 hours, which it said were unwarranted, CENTCOM added. The IRGC and its terrorist proxy must cease these attacks to avoid further U.S. military response, it warned. The Saudi Defense Ministry appeared to separately acknowledge the strikes in the post on X, warning that the kingdom emphasized that it does not see escalation but will respond to any aggression it faces. Andrea Creed, a senior lecturer of King's College London School of Security Studies, said Iran likely launched a surprise attack in a bid to shape the negotiation through force, but not because it had abandoned diplomacy. He added that the timing of the strikes right around President Trump's meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Washington also felt deliberate, with Iran signaling that any new American and Israeli campaign will face immediate response. Oil prices soared Wednesday as the renewed hostilities threatened a potential escalation to an already sprawling war that has seen the Strait of Hormuz largely shuttered for months amid Iran's blockade of the key trade route. The U.S. is also blockading Iranian ports along the waterway through which some 20% of the world's oil passed before the conflict began. The conflict has also expanded to the Red Sea after the Iran-backed Yemeni Houthis announced a blockade of Saudi Arabia on July 20th, with shipping traffic drastically slowed along both Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb, expressing optimism amid the renewed diplomatic efforts aboard Air Force One. Trump said Monday that he believed there was a chance we can make a deal. It was not the first time that Trump has expressed optimism over negotiation to bring an end to the war and see the Strait of Hormuz reopen, only to see a return to hostilities soon after. The president has repeatedly walked back threats to order sweeping attacks on infrastructure across Iran. But speaking on the phone on Fox News, Fox and Friends, earlier Tuesday, he said that if a deal could not be reached, he would finish the job. The fresh outbreak of hostilities comes from NBC News, reported that U.S. military commanders were allowing some Iranian attacks to U.S. defenses as part of an effort to preserve the Pentagon's weapon supply, according to two senior officials. But NBC News also previously reported that American weapons stockpiles are diminishing as the war with Iran drags on. Mike Waltz, the U.S. ambassador to the U.S. nations, told NBC News Meet the Press on Sunday that the U.S. has everything that it needs for military operations against Iran, dismissing those reports.